Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franzen here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our SpotOn series. SpotOn has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called SpotOn Restaurant, where they combine marketing, software, and payments all in one. They've served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom-and-pop restaurants. To learn more, go to SpotOn.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. We help B2B businesses get ROI, clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through Done For You podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, client partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. After graduating from the University of Alabama in 1996 with a degree in marketing, Jeff Kennedy immediately moved to Vail, Colorado in pursuit of a lifestyle focused on food, fun, and adventure. In 2001, he became the founding partner of Moe's Original BBQ, which now has over 50 locations in 13 states from coast to coast. In addition to restaurant development, hospitality and the desire to broaden its importance have become the primary focus of his career. In his free time, you can find him with his wife, Meredith, and his two daughters, Grayson and Libba Jane, somewhere outdoors, currently outside of the country, eating well and experiencing life together. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, tell me about where you are right now.
I am up in northern Italy up in the Dolomites in a little town called San Candido.
Wow, that is amazing. And what brought this trip about?
My wife and I years ago just always enjoyed traveling, and we just kind of set a lofty goal for to spend a year with our girls on the road, kind of experiencing some small town cultures around the world, and just living life, really trying not to be on vacation, but live as locals and just kind of dig into the scene and the culture and the hospitality of all these different little small towns around the world.
Is there anything about where you are now that's kind of stood out to you in terms of culture that, that's either different or that you enjoy?
It's really cool. I've been to Europe before. It's my first time into Italy. And so we're kind of just digging into it, but it certainly is, the area I'm in is a lot like Vail, Colorado, where I live. It's kind of a small town on the edge of big mountain ranges, and it's really cool. It's just kind of a life centered around food and family and the mountains. Everybody's kind of carrying skis around and doing their thing. And I would say that I don't know what we've learned yet, to be honest. I think that we've seen some really neat things, and we feel there's some things already that we could learn from this area, and there's some things that they could learn from the U.S. and from our stuff. So like everywhere, meet in the middle.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, speaking of Vail, you, as I mentioned in your intro, you moved there in 1996 after graduating from Alabama. What inspired that?
I think the same thing. When I was in college, I went skiing for my first time and just fell in love with it, and had always been into the outdoors. And so I just really wanted to go kind of chase my love of the outdoors, and especially the mountain lifestyle. I just really got hooked on the way of life within the mountain scene.
So you had a degree.
As soon as I graduated, I packed my car and hauled it to Colorado.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just on your own.
Yeah.
So you had a degree in marketing. Did you have kind of a background in restaurants at all?
I had worked with my current partner, Mike Fernandez. I'd worked for him in college in the restaurant and bar scene. And I'd kind of been in the restaurant world throughout high school and into college, and just always I realized in high school that I was good at throwing a party, and so I decided I should try to make that a way to make a living for myself. So the combination of food and throwing parties and yeah, kind of led me into the restaurant world.
So then in 2001, I believe Moe's Original Barbecue came about. How did you and your founding partners kind of, get that going? Where did the idea come from?
So my partner Mike, like I said, I worked for him in college, and he had started Moe's Barbecue in Tuscaloosa.
Mm.
And so I was working for him, and then he came out to culinary school in Vail. Johnson Wales Culinary School was there, and so I followed him. When I graduated, we'd become good friends along the way, and so when I graduated, I knew I wanted to go to the mountains, and so just came straight to Vail, and then our third partner Ben was also in school and friends from Tuscaloosa, and when he graduated, he followed suit to Colorado as well. And so we decided to. There was no in Colorado. There was no real Southern food, and barbecue for Coloradans in general is if you cook something on the grill and pour sauce on it, it's barbecue, and we disagree with that down south. So we started cooking on the side of the road and selling barbecue pretty early on, and it kind of took hold, and we started going from there.
So how would you describe the style of barbecue at Moe's? What kind of makes it distinct, and how did that style come about?
We cook on hardwood. We use applewood. We use a dry rub. It's and then we combine a couple of our favorite genres of food, being barbecue and soul food. And so each day we take your basic barbecue menu, being pork, chicken, turkey, ribs, fried catfish, all the things, and we combine it with a multitude of soul food, kind of depending on what's fresh and what we feel like cooking in the mornings. But in addition to beans, all potato salad, on any given day, we'll have collard greens, black eyed peas, sweet potatoes, fried okra. So we try to really bring this idea of down south we call it a meat and three. So you go through a cafeteria line and you pick a meat, you pick a few sides, casseroles, get a piece of cornbread and a sweet tea. So we kind of took the meat and three idea and turned it into barbecue for us.
What would you say those opposed in terms of maybe hospitality and cultural experience? You said you like to throw a party. What sets Moe's apart in those aspects?
I think Moses is really a big family. I think we've always been that way. We it is a franchise. We call it a franchise because it's really just a group of friends and family, and we treat each other like family and friends, and so I think that's a really unique within each restaurant. As I travel around now and see them within each restaurant, they really take on their own family, but then across the broad spectrum of it, it's one big family with a lot of small ones combined, and it's really gotten to be it's really neat. That's probably my favorite part about Moe's is just the real close knit connection. It doesn't feel like a franchise; it feels like 50 mom and pops put together. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not good, but for the friendship and family aspect, it's great.
So, as I mentioned, there are more than 50 locations in 13 states. Are all of those owned by franchisees?
They are. We own a couple of them in Colorado, but the rest of them are owned by our partners, franchisees around the country.
Are you still looking to expand in terms of, develop further locations owned by other franchisees?
We are for sure. We're actually about to open another store in Myrtle Beach here in the next couple weeks with a new partner up there, and we have one down in Troy, Alabama, under construction. Up in Maine, one in the works, and a couple others kind of in the works as well, but nothing coming quite to fruition yet. But yeah, we want to keep growing at an aggressive but manageable pace. We really don't want to blow it up into a your stereotypical franchise. I think barbecue needs to uphold, to an extent, it needs to uphold the character and of what it's really about. There's a lot of soul in barbecue, and I think it's hard to replicate that soul on a fast expanding schedule. So we're just kind of going at the rate that we can and at the rate that people want to get involved.
How do you kind of maintain that consistency and quality and things like that? Given that each restaurant is owned by maybe a different person, or a few restaurants are owned by a different person.
Right. I think that's not a struggle, but it's a constant topic of discussion. And what we've done over the past 4 or 5 years is bring on 4 really good, passionate restaurant men and women to help us on the road. And they spend a lot of their time and efforts out just visiting face to face and spending time just talking about quality and what our expectations of the brand are. And so with adding these people to our team, we're just really trying to put them into the mix in these restaurants and just work with everyone and just do the best we can. It's difficult, I would say, to keep everything exact because we're cooking from scratch. And when you're cooking from scratch, when your mom cooked mac and cheese, sometimes it's too salty, sometimes it's overcooked. That just kind of goes, I think that kind of goes with cooking from scratch. It's not always perfect, but it's always done with love. And we just do our best.
What makes Moe's a good option for a potential franchisee?
I think that connection to friends and family who are around the country doing the same thing, and it's the barbecue and Moe's Original really offer a unique entry into a community. I think that barbecue in itself brings all walks of life together to enjoy company and food, and I think Moe's has done a really good job with creating this entry for our owners and all the employees into each community where they just kind of a natural entry. They bring their craft into a community, and the community is just always comes open-handed and open-hearted to let us in, and we really thrive on being a part of these individual communities.
Yeah, that's great. What is there? Is there anything that you kind of look for specifically when somebody is interested in becoming a franchisee? What do you look for in them?
Um, Really just look for. I think in the food service industry, I think a lot of people think that it's an easy business to get into because everyone can cook the best hamburger on the grill, and everyone feels like they can cook, but there's so much more to that. So I think it's really understanding that the individual is passionate about really creating a welcoming vibe, and is also very understanding to hard work, because the work ethic that it takes to be in the restaurant industry is tremendous. And so I think a combination of work ethic, and just passion for hosting a party and creating a welcoming, inclusive environment for the communities to enjoy themselves.
How does that start with kind of training your employees, or your staff culture, things like that? If the staff is happy, then the customers are happy.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think the customer experience will never be greater than the employee experience. So I think starting with us creating a welcoming, um, encouraging opportunity for development and growth, and so I think creating that atmosphere for sure starts with us at the top, and it's up to us to create that scene and that inclusion in every restaurant. And then hopefully, if we do our job right, then each individual location the employees are showing that to the community and to the people coming in to visit.
Is there any kind of special training for the pit crew?
There absolutely is. We actually have a pit crew out in Vail right now training to go into Charlotte, North Carolina. And so it's nothing really hard, I would say. It's just cooking. I think cooking on fire and cooking barbecue is very different than putting a burger on the grill and cooking it for a minute and a half on one side and flipping. It's really about time and understanding of the meats and what's going on within the pit. And so it certainly takes some time. And I think it really, even in training the pit crew, again, it just kind of goes back to the passion of wanting to craft this meat and these sides every day. Nothing difficult, but a lot of little details that need to be put into action. And so it's training of just putting people into the mix and getting repetitions.
You guys have been around for the restaurant brand has been around for over 20 years. How has it kind of evolved since 2001?
That's a really good question. We're trying to keep with the times, but I think one thing that we do is we've always really just thought that crafting a very simple menu and creating a really welcoming vibe within the restaurants is what it's all about. And so we are, technology, especially ever since COVID hit, technology is huge. My partners and I are not, we have a fourth partner, Russell, who is our technology side. And so he's brought so much to the brand on that side. And I think to keep up with the demands days from online to deliveries to just the data that's coming in with 50 stores, the technology side is huge. But I think in general, it's really still just keeping a really simple format. We keep the menu simple and try to perfect it day in and day out.
Yeah, I have been to the Fort Collins location a multitude of times. Would you say that Colorado has changed its approach to barbecue since Moe's came about? We no longer put sauce on a hamburger or something.
Right. I think so. I think the first time that we cooked collard greens in Colorado, we couldn't give them away. And now 20 years later, each location we sell about a case of collard greens a day from each location. And Ted, a partner up there in Fort Collins, does an excellent job. He's an unbelievable chef. And I think he really just stays as far as quality of menu, he stays on top of it as much as anyone in our whole system. So I think you get a really good experience with the food side of things there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I have one more question for you, but first, how can people find out more about Moe's?
You can check out our website, moesoriginalbbq.com. We've got all your typical social media, which on the lack of technology side, I can't even tell you what they are, but they're all out there. And you can just come by and see us if you ever run across one. We'd love to have you in.
Okay, sounds great. So last question for you. When you go to Moe's as a customer, you're from the South, you have all kinds of familiarity. What's your kind of go-to meal of choice?
I like to go with the pork sandwich Bama style, we call it. So our regular pork sandwiches we add white sauce and our marinated slaw to the sandwich. So a pork sandwich Bama style with fried okra, because I love some fried okra. And I also tend to go with Mississippi mud pie to finish it off with something sweet.
Nice. Sounds fantastic. Hey, Jeff, it's been great to talk to you today. Thanks so much for sharing your story and telling us a little bit more about Moe's. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show. powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.